Did you know that emotional eating, lack of planning, cravings, and snacking when not hungry are the most common problems why people end up overeating? But one other reason why we actually get to that point of overeating is the access to high palatable foods. Now, I'm not here to tell you that junk food or processed foods are bad and that you should stop eating them. That doesn't fix the problem. To fix your problem, we need to start changing your thoughts about the food that you're eating. Your head is telling you right now, I want to look and feel a certain way. I shouldn't eat certain foods or amount of foods. But once you can't resist your own restriction and allowing yourself to eat, for example, one piece of chocolate, you end up eating the whole chocolate bar. The question is, what makes our mind shift in the moment that we decide to eat the whole chocolate bar instead of, for example, just one piece? What happens is a mental shift and a physical one. Physically, those ultra high processed foods have the ability to overactivate your reward systems, but they also override the incoming satiety signals. That makes it very easy to eat beyond any homeostatic needs. Evolutionarily, this behavior was designed to save us for a future famine, since high-calorie foods weren't accessible every day like it is now in affluent societies. On the mental side, the following thought process is usually what happens. Okay, now I started eating things that I didn't want to eat, so I screwed it up anyways, and from there on you will go in that whatever mode, where you think this day doesn't matter anymore anyways, so you can now eat everything you want. But in reality, it does matter if you're going into that non-stop mode or if you choose to stop at a certain point, even that was already more than you have planned. What happens here is a typical all or nothing behavior, or also called black and white thinking. That means it is easier for a person that planned on eating one piece of chocolate to eat the whole thing in the end, instead of stopping at 80% of the chocolate bar. Because the thought is that the last 20% doesn't matter. Well, calorie-wise it does, and also behavior-wise, because you teach your body to either fall in the black or in the white zone, but never choosing for a gray compromise. With this video, I want to tell you that you have the choice to change your behavior. Of course, it takes time and it is very hard depending on how extreme this cycle has manifested. But first, we need to know how. Most people think the fix after overeating is to restrict. This method will only worsen the cycle, so I feel like there is a necessity to talk about what really brings you out of the cycle and why. First, don't restrict. The only way to get over it is to not restrict your diet in an extreme way, for example, eliminating everything that contains sugar or all processed foods, because this will reinforce the thinking of having to eat certain foods, and if you didn't adhere to those foods, you have failed. The same applies to events like Christmas, which is coming up soon. People oftentimes think that this is a free pass or even the only chance to eat whatever they want, because afterwards January is knocking on the door when we want to finally start changing our behaviors and achieving our health and fitness goals. The mindset that I recommend you to adopt is you can eat chocolate and cookies whenever you want. Of course, you will gain weight if you eat tons of it every day. But that's not the point, and trust me, that's not what you want either. It's about the allowance. By allowing yourself to eat every day or every week a cookie or chocolate or whatever you might like, you're taking the pressure away from this one event, and your cravings will be less automatically. And this leads us to the second point. Combine unprocessed and processed foods. Like I just said, I don't believe that eliminating food sources like ultra-processed foods or food groups like carbs is the solution to anything. It will just create an imbalanced way of eating behavior and won't make you healthier and slimmer. Sugar and processed foods in general won't make you fat. The total amount of calories that you're eating is determining whether you're gaining or losing weight. If you used to eat 5 burgers per day, for example, and all of a sudden you're eating only 3 burgers per day, you will lose weight because you're eating less calories than before. A burger is an ultra-processed food, and yes, you can theoretically lose fat while eating only junk food as long as your calories are in a deficit. But is it the best way? Probably not, because it makes it much harder to adhere to a deficit because ultra-processed foods are not very satiating. The opposite is actually the case. They make you even more hungry for more junk food. Now, I said eliminating junk food is also not the way to go, since it reinforces black and white thinking, and that can lead to a huge cycle of restriction and binge eating, which leads to huge weight fluctuations or the yo-yo effect. The solution is therefore quite logical: combining unprocessed and processed foods. It is very unlikely that you're overeating from vegetables, but why not sprinkle some cheese on your meal, adding some tortilla chips on your salad, or enjoying some chocolate in your porridge? Then you have your unprocessed satisfying foods that contain all the nutrients and fiber that satisfy you for a longer time. Plus, you have an enjoyable component that pimps your meal, because not only the volume of a meal is determining how much it satisfies you, also the taste is significant in order to let us feel content after a meal and not seeking something more. The integration of some processed foods that you crave or like takes away the mental restriction and also avoids the physical extreme craving that a chocolate bar alone, for example, would cause. The third point is eat with awareness. What does it mean? It means to just ask yourself, while you're eating, how full are you, or how satisfied are you? By consciously asking yourself, you will also feel your hunger and satiety sensations better, and that helps you to realize faster at which point you're actually just eating to eat, even you're not hungry anymore or fulfilling any other purpose. Being aware can be very difficult if we are eating distracted. What really helps is to slow down the whole process. Put your fork down once in a while and try to feel the different stages of how hungry you are. Slowing down while eating not only helps your digestion, but also makes you less likely to overeat. Our satiety occurs after about 20 minutes of eating. If we are rushing through a meal, we have no chance to even feel satisfied and add unnecessary extra calories. My last recommendation is to incorporate some type of movement every day, because physical activity does more than just increase total energy expenditure. When activity is low, appetite is dysregulated, and that can result more easily in excess food intake and weight gain, whereas higher levels of activity seem to increase appetite control. And by that, I don't mean necessarily to go to the gym or doing a workout. It can be as simple as walking in nature. A good eating behavior will look so different to everyone. I'm not saying that eating a certain way is the best and only way to be healthy and fit. This is why only you can define how a healthy and desired eating behavior looks like. And you can practice that in the next weeks, since Christmas is coming soon. Asking yourself, what would a successful Christmas in terms of your fitness and health goals look like? For some of you, it means just not to overeat in the sense of unnecessarily accumulate an extreme amount of calories. And for others, it might mean to stick to a specific calorie goal. There is nothing wrong with sticking to a deficit, for example, if you're pursuing the goal to lose fat. If that's the case, there are a couple of options that you can go for dependent on the accuracy that you're willing to adhere to. One option is, if possible, tracking your calories as usual, or eating most of the meals as usual and not tracking dinner with the goal to eat until a comfortable fullness. And the third option is to integrate a diet break, which means going out of the deficit for 1 to 2 weeks at your maintenance calories, and maybe also just tracking your calories roughly. By the way, you can plan diet breaks with my app as well. In the end, it is a matter of expectations and what matters most to you. You're watching this video after you have overeaten, then please do not restrict your calories afterwards. Continue to eat after your goal calories and don't go into a large deficit calorie-wise or by adding an extreme amount of exercise, because this is what can lead to the so-called yo-yo effect, and worst case can lead into binge eating disorder. And my last advice for those of you who struggle with binge eating. Even if you haven't reached your target body weight yet, I recommend you to put the diet or fat loss goal to the side. If you're already behaving in a severe pattern, dieting more won't get you out of it. I would go on minimum maintenance calories to break this cycle. In most cases, this is not enough, and it is extremely important to seek a professional to also address deeper underlying emotional connections to food. That was it for this video, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and make sure to hit the like button if you took away something helpful from this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, since this supports me to put even more helpful content out in the future.